Had a lot of stuff to do yesterday.
Yeah.
I was for the whole
Yeah.
afternoon, basically from about 5 before 5 o'clock on. Then went to uh, went to a
You
Division
went to,
L speech contest. So
okay. That was, so what was that in Burlington or something?
it was Waterdown.
Waterdown. Okay.
Waterdown.
Yeah. Yeah. Morning, everybody, and welcome to Talking Niagara this morning.
Good
And,
morning, Mike.
okay. Yeah. Morning, Mike. Okay. So it's Wednesday, March 26th. So good morning, everybody. And hey, earlier this year, we had a local $100,000 Encore winner. They
Hang on. I got a couple of announcements.
Okay, let's get on to the announcements. Go
All
on.
right. First of all, Honeymoon City Toastmasters, our own Toastmaster group here in Niagara Falls, has had again a Division L speaking champion, Vivian Little Thomas. She won again as she did last year. The Division L speech contest, hugely successful. I I uh, I will take all the credit because I'm her coach.
one of 17 or 18 or 19 or 20 in the club, eh?
Yeah. So the so she won again. She she did her speech. She was the first person to speak out of 8 contestants, and there was only one person after that. Everyone knew who was going to win. That's how well she did it. She's very good, and so my big congratulations to Vivian. Big congratulations to
Will,
Honeymoon
will
City
she
Chief.
be will she be going to the internationals again?
She'll be going to District 86. Next is the next threshold. Last year she won District 86, but was denied afterwards was denied a spot in the international speech contest. But everything was done on video back then, and the video submission had to be put in, and our people really didn't have District 86 really didn't have sophisticated video stuff. They did everything with a phone basically, and the video didn't really look all that great. So that might have been part of the reasoning that she was denied a spot in the world contest. But anyway, she was District 86 championships, which is pretty special in itself. It's like pretty much the best in all Ontario.
Yeah, yeah, that is good. Okay, any more announcements?
Yes, the second
And
one is
good
yesterday.
luck. Good
What
luck to Vivian, by the way, all the way.
the second yesterday I shot a couple games of pool with Gary Wilkins.
Did you whip his ass?
Well, we had 2 games, and the first game I won handily, and what I found out by playing the second game, it's a lot harder to try to lose a game, which I did, so we could have a game each, which I finally did. But it took a lot of effort on my part to shoot that poorly enough for
Well,
for Gary to win.
I thought that was easy because what you do is instead of going for the center of the ball, you go for the edge of the ball so that you're kind of push it that way rather than where you want it to go.
Well, like I said, I won the first game like pretty quick, and the second game took longer because it's really hard to try to lose a game like I did because I wanted Gary to keep playing pool, and if I beat him the second time, he might not want to play pool the next time.
Yeah. I'm sure he's up. I'm sure he's up for that. Okay, we have a local $100,000 Encore winner. All right.
An optometrist.
Yeah, an optometrist from Niagara Falls. Interesting. And of course, he, like everybody else, when they're putting these stories up, they encourage you to spend the extra dollar on the Encore on the ticket because you can earn money. So I like his thing when he says he plans to use his winnings to complete some home renovations, invest, and help those in need. Well, if he does all those three, he's probably got $5,000 for home renovations then.
Well, he won't have a whole lot. And to help the community, he's going to get a lot of phone calls now. You know, like Dave Wheeler's the Dave Wheeler's benevolent fund for Dave Wheeler.
Oh, I know. But you see, again, whether he puts it into something like, United Way or Kiwanis or Rotary, those kind of funds. I'm sure he can, and it could be a reasonable donation, right? $5,000 or $10,000.
Yeah, he could do anything he wants with that money, and I think it's my hat's off to him that he's going to apply some of that money to the community. Very well done.
Yeah.
And there are,
and you know what this all is advertising for is buy Encore next time you buy a lottery ticket.
Yeah, I was buying them there for a while, and I just got tired of buying them. But it's a good thing. I have a cousin that won $300,000 back in 1990. That pretty much got him a really nice house, a really beautiful home back then those days, and plus he had extra after that. And I know a guy that won a couple $1 million, but his life went sour.
Yeah.
And I knew a guy at work who won over $150,000 anyway. One day, he came in and said, "Oh, I won $150,000." Oh,
but he didn't resign. He didn't leave his job.
Did I tell you? I says, did I tell you? You are aware I'm your best friend, even though you hardly know me, right?
Yeah, that's what everybody says. There's 100 million Dave Wheelers out there at that point, isn't there?
Yeah. Can I sponge? Can I borrow money?
Yeah, I've never met you before, but hey, any chance you could give me 50 grand?
Yeah,
I need it. I need it just because I need it.
Actually, this particular fellow, I appreciate it very much. He was part of the union and the hydro plant down in Nanticoke, and he. When my brother lost his fingers in an industrial accident, he was one of the first ones to get up and get some money collected for my brother. They collected $7,000 for him.
Yeah,
and he was one of the principal figures in that to get that money. It was very, very touching.
Well, an interesting thing about this one is that he purchased his ticket at the Avondale store on Montrose and Thoroldstone. The parade there with Thorold West Bakery on it. That's where he purchased his ticket, and that Thorold West one has had several big winners, including a $42 million winner. And somebody else, retirees who won 100,000 through Encore as well.
Yeah. So
again, go buy your tickets there.
Yeah. We've had a few winners for Kiwanis TV Bingo out of that store.
Yeah.
I think 2 or 3 just this year. In the past
so
year.
That's the area to go live, walking distance to that Avondale, eh?
Yeah. So when you buy your lottery ticket there, don't forget to buy a bingo ticket.
Yeah. Yep. Right. Very good. Very good. The only thing about bingo is you've got to listen to the show to be able to win the bingo, haven't you?
Yeah. That's the caveat. So it's on.
It's no use having the winning bingo ticket and you didn't play the bingo at 9 p.m. or whatever the time is, and it goes, oh, you got the straight line, you got the four corners, and you got the whole ticket. Oh, you would have done had you bothered playing.
Yeah. Well, I was calling on Sunday, and the first three games, you only had one winner. And the last game, what happens is when we get a potential winner, we stop for a while and we wait and let them phone in.
Yeah.
Get a chance to phone in. Unfortunately, whoever won would have won it all if they got the telephone call in fast enough. This happens sometimes, even though we remind everybody to make sure that they get that they have that phone call really ready for them to phone it in. So the last game was three winners. So each one of them only got $400, but it's but everybody else gets $600.
So when you're waiting, does Cogeco go on a commercial break?
No, there's no commercial breaks in Qantas TV Bingo. It's a community thing. So what I do is I read shout outs. People phone in shout outs.
Oh, curious. Just curious. I didn't know how that happened. I have not bought any of the bingo tickets. Perhaps I should watch it one Sunday, but I don't have live TV right now.
Yeah, but it's a good deal. Just about everybody I know who's played it has won at least once, and many multiple winners for people.
And that is actually common with bingo, though, isn't it? Most people. That's the reason why a lot of bingo players go back, because they do win time and again. Whereas typically with the lottery, you win. You win once and you never win again. I mean the jackpot. I mean,
yeah.
Although there was a guy in the UK who won 3 jackpots.
Yeah,
but those jackpots were pretty small.
Well, I've been on the phones where when I haven't been calling. Sometimes I work the computer, sometimes I work the phones.
Yeah.
And most of the time these days I'm the caller. But this year I've worked the computers a few times, and when I've been on the phones, I've had people phone in, and it's the same person that won 2 games ago.
Yeah.
I'm writing down the information. Didn't I just write this information down? Oh yeah, I won the other game. Holy cow!
Well, actually, that was the thing about that was the thing. I've only ever played bingo once, right? I won. Actually, I won 3 separate games on the one bingo card, right? So I played it once. I retired a champion. Walking away with 100% record. So what can I complain at? Anyway.
Well, yeah, you did the right thing then. You got the payoff and then turn your back like every first time gambler.
I retired a champion. But I played the game just for fun. It was one of these these workplaces I was at, and everybody says, "Yeah, we're gonna have a bingo night. Let's come go to the bingo night." And you can't, I'm just going there for a bit of fun to be with everybody else, and I won.
Good show, man.
Yeah. And they used to have this thing. That they had a national bingo competition, that if you actually won in a certain number of draws, so by the numbers of balls that they pulled out, if you win the ticket within a certain number, you could actually win what was a national escalator. And I was one number away from that national escalator.
What the hell is a national escalator?
Well, what they did is they doubled up the prize.
Oh, okay.
So if you got the ticket in, I don't know how many balls, but how many balls does it take to get a complete card? But I don't know, if you win it in, say, 25 balls, I don't, if you
depends on the game you're playing.
Yeah, it depends on But if you win the complete card in the record number of, in the national amount, you actually could win double what you actually won.
Okay.
which was an interesting thing. So it was this escalator that the bingo, I guess the bingo businesses as a group got together on this to make this national escalator. Anyway, interesting.
Okay. Yeah. Here's something we talked about the other day was Chandra Arya is being booted out of the Napian riding so that Carney can take that riding.
Yeah.
We were talking about that. Well, I read a little bit further about that. He's been booted out by the Liberal Party because they feel that he's been meddling with India and had undue influences from India. And what?
Oh,
Yes. Oh, and that is now I don't know if that's the excuse they used to get rid of him from a a safe party for the Liberals, but of course he's in denial, and he has when when the Liberals had some kind of opinion about India, he refused to, and India denounced India. Chandra did not do that because he feels that the Khalistani, i.e., Sikhs, have a terrorist movement in Canada, which is Modi's accusation, and which is being true, of course, in the past, and probably still is at this particular point too. But they're throwing him out because of his connections with India and feel that he has done things on his own without permission. He's gone off to India and talked to Modi and all of those things when there has been this spat between India and Canada.
Yeah.
So basically that's the reason they get rid of him. I think it's rather convenient. They have a reason to get rid of a guy in a very safe Liberal zone. That may backfire on Carney if the people in Napian like their representative, and they might not take too well to that kind of a thing, but we'll see.
Yeah. By the way, also another story which I kind of gave to you 2 days ago about Ellen DeGeneres selling her last American property. I sent this because I thought, okay, this is a star getting up and moving because of Trump. But I couldn't find anything in the article that related to Trump at all.
No, a lot of the stars or celebrities said they were going to move out of the United States if Trump won. Almost nobody has, of course. But there is
I don't know whether this is actually related, whether Ellen DeGeneres is related to that, or whether she just fancied a move to the UK.
Well, the fact that she liquidated all her real estate assets and then moved to the UK is sort of an indication that maybe she's going there because she feels she will be then, I don't know, persecuted of some kind. I don't know much about Ellen DeGeneres. I don't watch TV
neither do I.
much. All I know is she's some gay woman that has a TV show or has had more than one TV show. I think she had a sort of sitcom thing, and then later on she had some talk show which seems to be super popular for midday.
Yeah, well, that's essentially what I know about her as well. I don't know too much about her, but actually the interesting thing is that the picture at the beginning of this article was actually with her with a guy. So I didn't, but they said they used the term partner in it, which usually means it's a gay relationship. Anyway, don't know.
Well, there's another picture of her with another woman too. So
yeah, there is. Yeah,
I'm assuming, however they work that out, between the two of them, someone's got to have to be there. I think in old fashioned lesbian terminology, that was gay and femme, right? Or butch and femme.
Don't know anything about it. Yeah.
That was the terminology they used to use. I don't know if they still use it. It was butch and femme. The femmes were the very, very feminine ones, and the butch were ones that are more mannish, I guess you would say. But I don't know.
Yep. Don't know. Not going to comment.
Yeah.
Right. But she moved to an $18 million farmhouse in the Cotswolds. Interesting, because I was close to the Cotswolds at one point when I was living in Britain. Nice area. You know.
Were you gay at the time?
What has gay got to do with the Cotswolds? Nothing.
I just thought it might be a gay community there.
No, there's actually, I noticed there's a number of UK celebrities, including David and Victoria Beckham, Kate Moss, and Jeremy Clarkson from the car show. I can't remember the car show, but what the name is. But he runs a car show on BBC, and it's actually international as well.
Yeah, it's a popular one. Yeah, I know the one you mean.
Yeah. Yeah. So I didn't know. So presumably that's David and Victoria Beckham's local home. Victoria Beckham's actually from Watford, so she's from that general area anyway. And David Beckham's a Londoner as well.
Okay.
Yeah, but don't really know too much about it. But hey. I was wondering whether, my first thought was that these guys were escaping from Trump, but there was no indication in the article that was true. Right?
Is it the classic motor show?
No, he's
Great British Car Show.
No. Oh, crikey. Jeremy, what's?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, what's his thing he does? Yeah. Oh, just open the
Top Gear. Top Gear, is it Top Gear?
Top Gear. That's the one. Yeah, Top Gear. Yeah, and that's internationally famous. Is Top Gear was started in 1988, and basically it's just grown from there. So it was a geeky show about cars, and then in the early 2000s they used to do these challenges about I'm going to drive. It's can you get from a point in the UK to somewhere in Norway quicker by car than you could by ferry? Right. And of course he picks up a 250-mile-an-hour car
Of course, yeah.
and drives it across Europe. I'm not saying that he didn't, I'm not saying that he broke the speed limits or didn't. I don't know. I'm not going to go there. But it was just an opportunity to do it. And usually they arrived at about the same time.
Well, anyway, she's got good company where she's living now. Yeah. And like, as you said, there's nothing to say anything about because the Trump administration's got in there, but that might be a contributing factor.
Well, psychologically, even if it's something that she didn't say anything about, because psychologically, one of the things that has been said has been that Trump is anti-gay.
I don't know how he could be anti-gay when he uses the gay anthem for his rallies. He uses the gay anthem YMCA for his anthems all the time, and that was always a big surprise to me. Especially when he was also anti-DEI, and they have YMCA all over his rallies, and that's the gay anthem. That's what's called the gay anthem. So it's I don't know. Everything's so messed
up. He has somebody in his family circle that is gay as well.
Oh wow.
But again, he's come across as being anti-gay. I'm not saying, I don't know. We'll probably get a barrage of comments on that one.
I haven't heard him come out overtly. I know he's against the DEI thing, which sometimes has, what quite often has connections with the LGBTQ thing. Last night when I was in the speech contest on the big windows, there's an old church and on the big that's been standing since 1867. It has a sign on it. This church was already standing in 1867. That's when we became a country, and they have a couple of LGBTQ rainbow flags, the old-fashioned ones, just the ordinary rainbow one, not with the triangle and all the other stuff. So them hanging in the front window as kind of a message that they're accepting of all.
Yeah.
So,
Yep, I get you.
Yep.
Okay. We move on to another ability story. A Niagara Falls man is considering taking legal action after he was removed from an LA Kings game. He was in LA for an event, and he runs a local company called Alternative Mobility, and he was in LA for an event, and he decided to go to the LA Kings game, and he asked at the front counter about, have you got accessible seats, and they said no, but somebody in customer services will take care of it and give you a good place to sit. Well, he ended up sitting behind a security guard, and the security guard wouldn't move. And worse, the security guard got him thrown out of the arena.
Well, we don't know what transpired between the security guard and him.
No, we don't.
I've been there, not that particular arena, but I had a friend who was in a wheelchair, and we used to go to events and stuff like that. And I'm telling you, they're supposed to have special areas for the disabled and wheelchairs, and most places do have a place set aside. But a lot of times their views are blocked or something like that, and it's hard for people in wheelchair to voice their concerns because in a situation like that. I remember taking a friend of mine to a concert, and the people in front of him kept standing up and cheering the acts, and we try to ask them not to do that because they were blocking his view steady, but they could care less.
Yeah, that's part of the problem, because when you're at a concert, everybody stands anyway for the vast majority of the concert.
Well, these people are doing it in excess, basically, and we don't mind getting up once in a while and clapping and standing, but to continue to sit down, particularly when they were full well know that there was people behind them in wheelchairs, they couldn't stand up and do the same thing, and were blocking parts of the show. And but I found that the people that are disabled and have wheelchair concerns or other concerns, other disability concerns, that even though there is this sort of idea that, well, we're going to accommodate you, they don't really accommodate people that well in certain places.
Yeah, that's what I saw. One theater where there was a concert going on, where they actually the first row of seats was removed, for wheelchairs. Wheelchairs were at the first row of seats.
That's great. A couple of events I got in for free.
Yeah,
a couple of events I got in for free because I was attending him. I was attending him, which I did. I was surprised me. I was fully prepared to pay, but most of them you pay too, and you just get a seat beside your buddy, right?
Yeah. But again, I get it that sometimes that the seat on the 50-yard line isn't available, right? and I'm not so sure how we do that right, because in fact sometimes how do you make those available? How do you make seats available. So, because people pay to watch a game, they don't pay to watch the backside of some security guard.
Yeah. Well, I got to say, the lacrosse game I was in Friday, I was way back at the top seats. They're good seats. They're central to the arena. They're very, very good seats to watch because you can see the plays develop. But
Yeah.
this was the very first time I remember so many people getting up and down and moving and going to the confectionery back and forth. So luckily they had a big Tron, basically a big TV on the top where you could watch the game too. So while these people are always moving in front of me, I'm missing the game, but I'm not missing the game because I can see the jumbotron and watch it there.
I'm
But still,
actually wondering, with those seats, can you see more on the jumbotron than you can on the court itself?
well, the jumbotron follows the actual play.
Yeah.
But as an observer, you can see how the whole play is being developed. What's happening on the whole court, the whole lacrosse surface there. So it's better to watch.
I would have to say in my time in all of the stadiums that I've been into, I think most of them are not very accessible friendly, are they?
No, that's always been a problem, and a lot of that's changed. But I was very surprised that a place like LA did not have a very good place for someone with wheelchair access, and then they did put him in a place where his view was blocked, and he tried to get the security guy to move, but he wasn't going to move. He couldn't see the game going.
You see, in part, I understand why the security guy would say no, because the security guy's employed. He's not watching the game; he's watching the crowd, and he has to be in a particular point so that he can see his segment of the crowd, right?
Well, we don't know what the security guard was doing there and why he was positioned there, but what is very certain is the management should have found a better alternative.
Yeah, they should have done. And the point being is, what happened is they said the LA Kings afterwards said they would welcome him to another game with an accessible seat if he returns to LA. Right?
Well, yeah, they're a bunch of cheapskates because they ripped him off for the game. They won't return the price of his ticket, which they should do right off the bat because they did not accommodate him as they had promised. With an accessible seat with a good view of the game. And so the first thing they should have done is refund his ticket and offered him a free one, basically, if he did come back. But instead, they said they piked out and they said, "Oh, well, no, you can't have that. But next time we'll have a better accessible seats for you." Well, that's kind of admitting that they didn't. Well, we can't give you the ticket back, but next time we'll provide you with an accessible seat, as if they didn't the first time.
Oh yeah, and good morning, Karen. And basically, Mike is saying he hopes they sues their arse off, and yeah, I get it. With games, with some of these tickets are in the hundreds of dollars nowadays, aren't they?
It's impossible. I would very rarely go to a hockey game unless I got the ticket for free, like I did last time.
Yeah,
and like a Sabres game or a hockey game, it's just you might as well put your house up for mortgage to get a good seat anywhere there. That's why I go to lacrosse games.
Well, one of the things I did notice, I have noticed in a few basketball games, not that I'm a heavy watcher of basketball, but I have noticed that on many basketball games, the front rows of many of the games are actually, they have areas at the front row almost behind the coaches where they put people in wheelchairs.
Yeah, there's lots of places. I've been to concerts. I saw Arturo Sandoval, who is a extremely good jazz musician at Brock University, and we had some really good seats there. They had accommodations there, so I could sit right beside my buddy. I've seen Arturo Sandoval. He got awarded some award. Obama gave him some kind of medal, whatever those medals are that they give to prominent citizens. Similar to our Order of Canada or something like that down there. He got one of those, and then he's been lately being. I see his name pop up all the time for awards of this or that. He was. His mentor basically was Dizzy Gillespie,
Okay.
And he's a super fine jazz musician. But anyway, at that particular time, we had good seats. When we went to Hamilton Place a few times, they had a good accommodation for people in wheelchairs, and but in Hamilton Place, they had a very difficult bathroom stall for the handicap. It was tight across from the sinks and way at the very end. So you had to go through a bunch of people to try to get there, and then it was hard to turn into the stall. Well, they did what they were supposed to do, made a stall for handicapped people, but they should have put it closer to the door, the entrance door, so you could get in. It was a struggle getting in.
Yeah.
And I've ran into that situation a few times with him.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know. It's just that he is thinking about suing the LA Kings, that's for sure. But I'm kind of hard pressed. Well, I'm kind of hard pressed because I'm going to be the cynic here, to think why he would get more than $500 to $700 anyway. The price of the tickets, maybe double the price of the tickets.
Well, everybody sues everybody down in the States, so it's a kind of almost like a part of the gross domestic product down there. It's like you got a steel mill, you got a computer service area, and you've got lawyers that sue.
Yeah. Well, and the thing was in our own courts, if you sued, I could see this coming up. It's like the judge will kind of go, yes, Mr. Whatever your name is. I can see your situation. I feel for you. Why do you think the defendant should be giving you $35,000 instead of just your $1,500 seat ticket money?
Well, for one thing, he had to go all the way there, and then he had
he was already in LA,
ruined his vacation and all that other stuff.
I know.
I don't know, but what else we got there, Peter?
Yeah. All right, moving to change its the city's blue box program, and part of this is that they're doing it because there's a new company coming in. Circular Materials is actually dealing with the recycling part of the blue box program, but what they're basically pointing out is that blue box containers, how they collect blue box containers won't change. You still have one for paper, one for other stuff.
So what's the significance of this article that you posted?
Well, it's just,
I didn't get a chance to read it.
Yeah, no, it's just that what is happening is it's being processed now by what has happened is that basically Doug Ford changed the law insofar as now the recycling is not being done by the cities, but being done by the companies that want the recycled produce.
Okay.
Right. And that's what's different here. I don't know why, and it's going to happen to us as well, potentially. Not sure exactly what's going to happen, but people like Circular Materials will be coming in as part of this new initiative, and the recyclers are getting the people who use the material are getting closer to the people who dump the waste, so to speak.
Okay.
Right. So instead of it going from, instead of I think part of it is that there's been these allegations, and I'm not sure how true or not they are, and I don't necessarily, that all the recycling ends up on the landfill. So why would I bother recycling?
Yeah.
We've seen such allegations, right? Let's be honest. I'm not going to say that does or doesn't, but I think what they're doing is by putting the recycler closer to the source of the materials, so to speak. They're just basically making sure that they are properly recycled.
Well, they'll never have any trouble with cans. I can tell you that. I've saw lots of cans uh, and things like that at the steel mill where the scrap comes in. So they must be like at one time I saw whole piles and piles of crushed cans. So
Yeah.
they must be good to for the well anything that's made out of steel can be just redone over and
Well,
over and over again.
yeah.
It's like water turning to ice and then melted and turned back into ice again, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, and steel basically is like that. Any of those kind of parts can be done. But the trouble is, it's like when you've got things like most of our products are made in plastic boxes. We get a plastic. If you look around the room in front of you, you've got a computer in a plastic, in a plastic box. You've got most of the computer parts are plastic with like the circuitry in metal melded onto the plastic, right? If you take your
Well,
motherboard
if
out,
you take a chip,
yeah,
a chip, it's usually a polymer that holds the circuitry.
yeah, exactly, yeah. And if you look around, your speakers on your desk are plastic. Half the things around, like your telephone's plastic. Maybe even your water bottle's plastic,
The lenses
and
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 the
lenses
arms
in
of
the glass
this.
frame. Yep, yeah. And we don't recycle those at all. A lot of those are not recyclable.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult to recycle polymers, and they haven't come up with a type of polymer that can be easily recycled, and that's a big problem. So I don't know what we're going to do with all the plastics. It's really making a mess of our planet because they're so easily made. They make you take
Yeah,
a water bottle. Last night, I'm thinking I saw the water bottles that were available for us uh, as members of the audience. They had water bottles, and I'm thinking to myself, here you go again. There's just more water bottles, plastic water bottles. Why? Because a thin plastic water bottle is light. It's it's very efficient. It's very effective, and it works better than anything else. Except that disposing of it is a problem.
yeah. Well, yeah, and I'm not entirely sure what happens with the recycling. Probably the vast majority of what I throw away is actually water bottles in the recycling, and I'm not sure entirely what happens to them, but I know they take them. And when you think about it, you've got a bottle which is made of a clear plastic, and you've got a lid made of a slightly different material.
I think and I'm going to take some flack here, but the amount of plastics there, and I've mentioned this before when I was in Ghana, and there was enormous amounts of plastic along the high tide
Yeah.
mark, along
Oh
these
yeah.
pristine beaches, the beautiful beaches along the Ghana coast, and they had these piles and piles of plastics that came from the sea, and there's just no infrastructure to take it away or clean it up. But if
Mm.
they could burn it, make power out of it, and there's a method by which they can convert a coal burning type or natural gas uh, type burning generator into one that will use plastic for fuel. Even though that will put a lot of carbon into the atmosphere, it also what it does is it removes these massive amounts of plastic. So for if you have a coal burner or a natural gas burner anyway, making power, it might be a good idea to burn up a lot of your excess plastic. It will burn, and you can then get at least some energy out of it and remove one pollution problem by exacerbating another, unfortunately. But
Well, you can use scrap.
what plastic is just kind of become so pervasive in our environment that it's doing a whole lot of damage to fish and wildlife and to the ecosystems and environments. I
Well,
think
that was actually supposed to be that one of these things that if you actually burn some of these plastics, they release a certain gas, and that gas could actually be recycled and used.
well, they're experimenting with carbon capture too a lot of times, but my big issue here is the like if you look at the worst of two evils, I think the best solution here is to burn as much of that plastic to generate power as you can until you find alternatives.
Yeah.
Especially since you're going to be using carbon fuels to make electrical power anyway.
Yeah.
You're going to, if you haven't replaced that natural gas or that coal burner, especially in places like in the developing world where they just really can't afford anything other than a coal burner or a natural gas burning, if they could convert some of their boilers into being able to burn plastics, at least they'll get rid of the plastic that's all pervasive.
Mm.
I mean, it's not the greatest solution, but it's, if you look at the two pollution problems, plastic and carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, if you're going to make power with with fossil fuels anyway, you can make it.
Plastics all come from fossil fuels anyway, right?
Yeah, they're all from petroleum based products.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Moving. Oh, we got one comment on that one. Yeah. So you're so full of shit.
Didn't try to lose. You just suck. Hello. Gary, I'm sorry. I didn't intend you to hear that. I didn't know that you were listening. Oh my. But you know what? You'll have to face the truth, Gary. I tried really hard to lose that second game, and I finally accomplished it. Of course, I think I won the first one in about like 5 minutes, and that's me. And, and I was struggling with my eyesight and my arthritis and my big portly belly.
Yeah. I've heard it all before.
Yeah.
You're a pool shark, and there's nothing we can say about that.
Oh my. And like I gave Gary the best cue, everything, and even when he wasn't looking, I took a couple of those balls and stuffed them in the corner when he didn't see it, just to give him the edge a bit.
Okay, so
I think those are the three factors. I had a fight. I couldn't lie down I couldn't lean over the table because my big belly got in the way, and of course my terrible eyesight. I could hardly see the end of the cue, and my arthritis, I could hardly hang on to it, and yet somehow I ended up winning.
Right. So the waitress thought you had a lover's spot.
Gary is a bi-curious guy. I found out he keeps bringing that up every time we do anything. I says, well, how come what's your excuse, Gary? How come you're not playing so well? Oh, it's because I'm gay.
I don't know. I could think
how that meant, how that
that won't go down very well, because I'm sure there's some truly excellent gay pool players. I'm sure there are. I'm sure we could find one, Gary.
Well, if we coach Gary, he might be able to be a little bit better, and then he could be, but anyway. Yeah, I'm sure. There we are, talking like two men talk about, whatever men talk about. And I'm sure that the waitress thought we were gay. I don't think so. It was the waitress's birthday, by the way. Happy birthday to the waitress.
What
And
was her name? What was her name?
I can't remember her name, but you know, she's a friend of Gary's, and it's a good thing too, because who else could put up with him?
Oh dear. Oh dear. You're in trouble. You are in trouble, deep.
Those are fighting words.
I'm not saving you. I'm not saving you. Go for it, Gary. Go, Gary. Go, Gary. I'm on your side. Right. I found
Anyway,
one.
it was fun, and I hope to do that again. It was good shooting us some pool. That was really good. We had
Her name was
chicken wings.
you see, her name was Zoe, which proves that that Gary has more observation than you do.
Well, he also knows her very well, and so I think Gary's well liked there. I have to say that.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on. Canada's election. Poilievre and his security clearance is, for whatever reason, back in this spotlight again. He took heat over the allegations that India helped organize support for him when he was running for his job in 22. And he refused to take get security clearance in order that he could read the report.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Tom Mulcair, the previous NDP leader, agreed with him. When I was searching videos and stuff about this, and he agreed with him. He says if he gets that security clearance, he cannot comment on security issues. He cannot comment on what they find out about Indian interference or Russian interference or anything else like that. He would be like the other leaders are. They cannot comment on what is given to them privately. That's a condition of the security clearance. So he has chosen not to have the security clearance so that he can comment freely on anything that comes up. So it's a good move on his part. However, he's kind of lied about it in a way. He said he did get security clearance way back when he was a cabinet member, but that security clearance isn't the same kind of security clearance, and it's kind of like
and there's actually two types, because there's the general security clearance that's relatively easy to get and most people can get it, which is just you're not going to divulge secrets that you may happen to come across. And there's the higher level of security clearance that is very specific in nature. It's that higher level security clearance that he did not sign in this particular instance. Since
the NDP and everybody else is crawling all over him about getting the security clearance, you got to have you have to feel that they feel disadvantaged with Poilievre having a security clearance. That might be part of the reason why they keep nagging him about it. Yeah. Now, he won't get that security clearance for that reason, that he can comment on any police investigation about election interfering or anything else. The others can't. If you find, let's say, the Khalistanis,
Carney's not got his hands tied.
That's right. His doesn't. If he had the security clearance, he would have his hands tied, so he could not comment. So if something comes up about Indian interference or Russian interference or any other interference in our elections, he can comment on it. The other people can't because they have security clearance. So it could be a smart move, what he's doing, and Mulcair seemed to agree with him. He's the leader of the opposition, and he has to be in a position where he can dress down the government when he needs to. And if he has security clearance, there are subjects he can't touch, which limits his ability.
That's what I thought of the first instance. I thought it was a smart move. Don't know why it's coming back at this particular point. I think it's a bit passé now, isn't it?
No, it keeps coming up. Carney keeps bringing it up. He's brought it up a few times. Singh has brought it up in the past, and of course Trudeau. The quickly beginning to forget about Trudeau. Trudeau he had his, and they nagged him all the time about the security clearance, particularly in view of the fact that of election interference, particularly from India and China. And Poilievre refused to get it. Now the accusation is he doesn't want to know what one of his party members have had election interference help him.
Yeah.
Whether it's the Chinese or Indian community may back a conservative. But what we found is that's not how it works. The Chinese or the Indians back whoever they think will help them. It's kind of like the Israeli lobby in a sense. The Israeli lobby doesn't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican as long as you support their views. In this particular case, I don't think it's the Indians or Chinese care one bit whether it's a conservative or a liberal in different ridings. All they want is the influence in that riding, and
well,
so I'm not so sure that the opposite that Carney and Singh have legitimate beefs based on that.
Yeah, and one of the things that you will have when you look at any riding with a large, with a large population of any minority, you will find that riding may well that riding becomes, but whoever's standing from both parties, or all of the parties, all become part of that minority group. And so whoever wins, whether they're conservative and liberal, when they just to use those two, whoever wins, they're going to be, Indian, let's say, if it was an Indian, a major point where Indian Indian immigrants lived.
Well, look at the Chandra Arya here. None of the leaders can talk much about Chandra Arya because they have certain security clearances. Now, someone who could talk about it if something is revealed that Chandra Arya was working with the Indians or helping them manipulate undue influence in Canada. The only leader in the opposition right now who could really comment on any investigation would be Pierre Poilievre, because he doesn't have a security clearance, so he's not he's not mum by that security clearance. Meanwhile, nobody's telling exactly what's happening with Chandra Arya, except that he's had connections with Modi, and he seems to have duplicitous sort of ambitions or motivations. So there's two ways of looking at it.
Always two ways of hearing really anything.
Understood. I don't understand the Carney, Trudeau, or Singh complaining about the security, the fact that he refuses to get security clearance, and why that's a big deal. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense that it's such a big deal. What was that one by? He won't sign. Okay, I've given her $1,000 in tips. LOL. Of course she likes me.
And I'm presuming not all at once, Gary, but over the time that you've been there. All right. He won't sign. He
wanted to pay the bill yesterday, and it was my turn to pay the bill, but he wanted to pay the bill. And Gary, you got to remember, you might need that money for the next time I beat your ass in pool.
Yeah, well, there you go. Okay. So should he, shouldn't he? Yeah, and I understand where he is, but I also understand the people who are complaining against him.
Yeah, I guess it's I don't know. it's an unusual stand. Apparently, almost all the leaders get that security clearance. And what did Karen say about it? She has our Green Party.
He just said he won't sign the gag order.
Okay, yeah, basically, which would mean if he had security clearance, he would have to shut up, but he won't.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Meanwhile, it keeps him out of the loop, though. So he doesn't. There's certain security things he might want to know that he can't.
Well, if he became prime minister, he would have to sign the security thing.
Yeah, there's no way.
There's no way he could live without it, because in the prime ministerial role, of course, he gets regular security briefings, and he would rely.
That was a whole different thing. The whole idea, what Mulcair has said, the old NDP leader, is that he's in a better position as an opposition leader to be able to say anything he wants and probe any investigation without having been gagged. And if he gets the security clearance, he will be gagged.
Oh yeah,
No.
But I don't
know if Karen gets in the Green Party here, and somehow she holds the balance of power in Ottawa, because there's one vote difference between the major parties, and Karen owns, she'll have to get the security clearance, I'm sure.
Yeah, but you see, I think as I said, there's a whole difference between a leader of the opposition's role and the prime minister's role in this regard. The prime minister would have to take security briefings on a regular basis, and we rely, for example, on the prime minister to make a decision as to whether we're going to war or not, in the most extreme of circumstances. And obviously, that is not the kind of decision any prime minister wants to make, or wants to make more than once in a lifetime.
Well, yeah. Well, our last prime minister, he wouldn't really get a war cabinet. He'd probably get a cabinet together to discuss this, how he broke his nail, and how how that was going. How that's going to.
Okay. Enough of the cynicism. Yeah. We can say what we like about Trudeau now he's gone, I guess.
Yeah, his real legacy will come in time, as it did Brian Mulroney. There'll be more favorable light on him going forward. But like I said, right now, the real hero of the Liberal Party is Donald Trump, who has made the Liberal Party great again.
Thank you, Gary. All right. Okay, so I think we can kind of call it quits at that point.
Okay. You know what? I just like that, an inspirational message for everybody. If you've got bad eyesight, you got arthritis and a huge belly, you can still win a pool game. I proved it yesterday.
Okay. Thank you. Everybody have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Without further ado, I bid you adieu. Pray for peace.